Most Pokemon games are not exactly shy on battleable trainers, and yet there are still a pretty large number of characters that do leave me wondering, why don't we get to battle you? Today, I want to take a look at such characters, as well as come up with a potential team or team members they might have. We're just gonna go crisscross through the entire series and start in Galar with what I would probably consider the biggest offender of this video, Sonia. Not only is she a major character in Galar and reappears constantly throughout our adventure, her entire backstory is that she was Leon's rival once upon a time. Now, she may not have been as strong or loved battling as much as him, but it's basically unheard of for Pokemon games to build someone up as a capable trainer and then not have us face off against them. I mean, at the end of the game, Hop follows in her steps and also chooses the path of a researcher, but that doesn't mean he stops battling. Not even the DLC with its expanded Galarian Star Tournament made her a battleable opponent. It's a huge missed opportunity in my opinion. As you'll see commonly in this video, building teams for these characters is mostly done based on what would fit them as characters or Pokemon that aren't used by other trainers. As of course, since none of these trainers are battleable, they usually don't have many Pokemon associated with them or any at all. Sonia is actually one of the easier ones in that regard. Bolt Hunt is a must, even if Sonia is more associated with Yamper than its evolved form. I'm assuming she'd be battleable in the post-game, at which point Yamper is way too weak, but if it'd be way earlier, say the start of the game, as a sort of soft tutorial, then Yamper would be an option. That said, supplementary material like the manga and the TCG have also depicted Sonia with a Bolt Hunt, so it's nothing too far-fetched. In Pokemon Masters, Sonia has access to Serena, which is also available in Sword and Shield. In the anime, Sonia is shown to have owned a Rookity once upon a time, but Corviknight is already very widely used in Galar, so I think giving her one of those is not ideal. Instead, I want something that is able to Gigantamax. Sonia is Magnolia's granddaughter after all, and Dynamaxing is her specialty, it would only be right. And I think the perfect candidate is Butterfree. It's not used by any prominent trainers, Caterpie is found near Wedgehurst where Sonia lives, and it's not too aggressive or threatening a Pokemon, which wouldn't fit Sonia's peaceful nature. So that's gonna be Sonia's free Pokemon to finally join the Galarian Star Tournament. We take a step back in time now, all the way to Generation 4, where we find the only evil team admin we've ever seen who isn't battleable. And I'd say we changed that. I'm talking about Charon, a Team Galactic commander exclusively found in Platinum. I think we should once again be looking for free Pokemon here, that's also the number the other Team Galactic admins use, and the first should definitely be the only Pokemon Charon is associated with in-game, Rotom. He has done a ton of research into the Pokemon and its ability to enter electronic devices, and his old notebook even details he and a Rotom used to be friends. It makes perfect sense for Charon to use one, and since we're talking Platinum here, the existence of Rotom wouldn't really spoil the surprise of you finding it yourself either. For the other two Pokemon, I feel like we have to go with Golbat and Bronzong. Both are far from underused, in fact all Team Galactic admins use one or both of them, so I think Charon, as the newest member and one more specializing in research than brute force, should probably have some more Pokemon that Team Galactic clearly have easy access to, rather than something super unique. And I'd say Bronzong especially still fits his vibe quite well too. In a very similar camp to Charon, but with a completely different personality and role, we have Wicke from Sun and Moon, the only character seen in the Ether Foundation that seems to be a genuinely good person. So while she definitely shouldn't be fought as an enemy admin like say Faba, I do think her being battleable somewhere along the way would have been cool. In the games, Wicke isn't really associated with any Pokemon, but in the anime there is at least something to work with. She befriends a Stuffle, which does eventually leave her side again, but that doesn't have to be the case in the games. Except, Beware is already prominently used by Lusamine. Now, if we assume Wicke would be a post-game opponent, that doesn't have to be a problem necessarily. Lusamine can be rebattled after all, and the ending picture of Faba and Wicke even shows them alongside Lusamine's Beware and Clefable. So I say, why not use those? It fits Wicke's personality to a T to watch over Lusamine's Pokemon in her stead, and she could even have some dialogue like, I'm usually not a battler, but the Pokemon just love it so much, I do this for them or something. That only further strengthens her character as a truly caring person. Just give Wicke Lusamine's team so you can rebattle it and we have the best of both worlds. Next up, I want to look at a sort of semi-rival, who I guess isn't technically a rival since we don't battle them, but it's so strange we don't battle them, cause now, what's the point? I'm talking about Ethan and Lyra, the new main characters for the Johto remakes, who you frequently run into during your adventure, yet never battle even once. We've seen this before and after, where the opposite gendered playable character would appear as a mini or a full-fledged rival of sorts, but unlike Brandon and May or Callan and Serena, Ethan and Lyra are never fought. Now, Lucas and Dawn initially weren't either, but BDSP corrected this and made them battleable for the first time ever. I suggest we give Ethan and Lyra the same treatment. Fortunately for us, this is actually one of the easiest candidates to build a team for in this entire video, because not only do we know they use a Marill during the capture tutorial, they also mention owning other Pokemon when caught with the Pokegear. So, all in all, we can build them an entire team of 6, consisting only of Pokemon we know they canonically own. Doesn't get better than that. These 6, or at their strongest, would be Azumarill, Tauros, Tangrowth, Venusaur, Porygon Z, and finally Raticate, which is the Rattata they catch during the tutorial. It's far from an elite team, but it's a nice little challenge, perfect for another additional one while touring through Kanto. Another set of protagonists that would make for fantastic battleable opponents, to the point Game Freak even considered it themselves, are Hilbert and Hilda. It's such a missed opportunity. The protagonists of Black and White 1 as possible opponents in the sequel would have been so cool. Unused text in the game files of Black and White 2 suggests that at one point Hilbert and Hilda would have been possible opponents in the Pokemon World Tournament, but it didn't end up happening. Maybe they didn't want to commit to a canon team like they did with Red all those years prior, or maybe they had bigger plans that didn't come to fruition. It has been rumored that using the memory link function that could link Black and White 2 to their predecessors, Hilbert and Hilda might have been able to use the Pokemon you actually beat the game with. That idea is so incredibly cool that I'm gonna say that's what their team should be. Whatever you used when you played at them. Shame this was not to be. Scarlet and Violet basically makes every relevant character battleable. All your friends have Pokemon, the teachers and faculty of the Academy can join the Academy Ace tournament, everyone joins in on the fun. All except one. Literally one character in Scarlet and Violet is not battleable, that sole exception is Briar. And the thing is, nothing is really stopping her either. She's just a teacher at Blueberry Academy that should not prevent her from joining in battles, I would say, and yet she doesn't do them. In fact, we don't even get a hint of what Pokemon she might use, so we're truly crafting something from scratch here. And seeing as Terapagos is ours to keep, preventing her from further researching it, I think the most likely set of Pokemon for Briar to use are the Pokemon native to the Area 0 Underdepths, all of which have the Stellar Terra type. So that would be Glamora, which is a perfect fit really, even if Gita also uses it, Noivern, Garganacl, Garchomp, and then Sandy Shocks or Iron Thorns, depending on your version. And this should probably be obvious, but of course this team is only used after you've finished up the storyline of the Indigo Disc, when you've actually visited the Area 0 Underdepths. We have already briefly touched upon the topic of Pokémon Professors with Sonia, but I want to zoom in on a couple of them a bit more here. Because while I don't think all of them are perfect material for battling, some definitely are and they don't get that treatment. We can immediately cross Kukui, Sycamore, Sada and Turo off the list though, since they are battleable in their regions, while I would say Elm, Birch, Rowan, Magnolia and Leventon don't seem like the type to fight, especially considering their areas of expertise. So that leaves Professor Oak and Juniper. For the first, we can keep things short. Oak was once planned to be a sort of super boss in the original Gen 1 games, and his team is even still battleable via glitches, so I'd say we just restore those Pokemon to their former glory. That means Oak will have Tauros, Arcanine, Executor, Gyarados and the one remaining starter you and Blue did not pick. The levels were around the late 60s, early 70s, so let's keep it that way. Professor Juniper doesn't have a team we know of laying around somewhere, but she has been frequently seen using Pokemon and does the catching tutorial for example, so there is something to start with. And then is Chinchino, the evolved form of what she uses in that battle, and Watchog, since she catches a Patrat. Since all starters are given out in Black and White, we can't really give her one of those. If she had also handed them out in the sequels, then I accept she'd had a stash, but that isn't the case, so no starters for Juniper. She is instead gonna receive a Pokemon she uses in the anime, Excelgor. While there is zero evidence of her owning one of the games, if you want to reach a little, there are the free TMs she hands out based on how many Pokemon you've caught, and Excelgor can learn all 3 of those. It's not the only Pokemon this applies to, but it's something at the very least. And finally, I want to take a look at one of the only characters in the Pokemon series that is seen fighting, has no problems with battles at all, and yet we never get the fight. And that is Peonia from the Crown Tundra DLC for Sword and Shield, now retrospectively known as Penny's sister. She can appear as an ally in Dynamax Adventures, where she uses a Tyrantrum. There are also animations left in the game's data that suggest she was at one point supposed to be battled as well, as you would kinda expect, but no evidence of further team members exist. So it's time to get creative, and I think that based on the very limited information we have, Nia being a rock-type specialist makes the most sense. It fits thematically with her father, who specializes in steel, and the only current rock-type specialist in Galar is Gordy, who isn't in Shield, so I wouldn't consider that a problem. Just like her father, we're giving her 5 Pokemon, one of which is Tyrantrum of course. Aurorus would also be a good addition though, especially since it fits the themes of the Crown Tundra very well. I think Aggron could also be a nice addition, in a way to bridge the gap to her father, who also uses one. If only there was a rock-type evolution to do a bit of foreshadowing. I guess Midday Lycanroc is the closest thing we have to something resembling a rock-type evolution, so let's slot that in. For the final team member, I think Stonjourner is a fun addition to kind of round out the team and add a bit of a sillier Pokemon. Plus, it means she gets a Galar Pokemon on our team, and Stonjourner is really the only option, with Colosso as Gordy's ace and Dreadnought as Nessus. Alright, that have been the characters I think should be battleable, but who do you think we really should have been able to face? And what kind of team should their character have? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Pokemon content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.